My name is Guy Martin, and I'm a contractor for CollabNet, but I actually work on the Forge.mil project as one of the two community managers. Aaron and I are the community management team, and our job is basically to help the project go forward and to get more folks around using open source principles inside of the Department of Defense.
My name is Aaron Lippold, and I work for the Defense Information Systems Agency as part of the Department of Defense, and I work for the Chief Technology Office and the Information Assurance Directorate. So right now, we're trying to introduce open source methodologies and open source principles inside the Department of Defense. Migrating the Department of Defense from single initiatives that are repeated over and over to a more open and collaborative development environment and community.
So one of the big principles is meritocracy, right? In the open source community, you have this notion of meritocracy where your contribution determines your position in the project. In a traditional culture like the Department of Defense, where it's very much based on rank and other things of that nature, it's a little bit of a challenge. So we're really working to get people to realize that there's benefit in understanding that somebody who may want to contribute to your project isn't part of your immediate command or team, but they have a valuable contribution to make.
The vision of Forge.mil is to provide a collaborative environment for development, certification, testing, validation, and integration for DoD programs, technology, and initiatives. So we're going to have Software Forge for open collaborative development projects that can be open to the DoD community. And then we have another property called Project Forge, which is going to provide the same capabilities but in a more fee-for-service type of model. We also have Test Forge, which is going to bring in testing tools and allow distributed testing. Certification Forge to help with the certification and accreditation process, right? And then Standards Forge to help build the standards within the Department of Defense. And we're going to then use the Forge.mil umbrella to bridge all of those pieces and take that same tenet of cross-collaboration and make the sub-collaboration properties collaborate together, right? Streamlining the entire process.
Well, I think the community of Forge.mil encompasses, as Aaron pointed out, a lot of different elements. It's more than just a developer community, and I think that's one of the things we sometimes struggle with when folks come and they see the name Forge, they think immediately developer community, and that's really only part of it. It's partially developers, it's partially program managers, certification people, senior leadership, right? They're all part of this community that they're almost little sub-communities that are all part of a larger general community. We're really actually are going after a consistent sort of look and feel and a consistent interface for people to come in and use the properties that he mentioned for Forge.mil. So for example, if you come in and you're interested in certification, you will see all of the certification information with links back to the individual projects. And also if you're a developer and you come in on a project, you should be able to easily see what the certification is. And that's pretty important if you're going to come in and you want to see what a particular, use a particular piece of software. You need to be able to see, okay, has it been certified? Is it certified for use? And that's a big thing that's kind of different culturally for me coming from the open source side, is it's a lot more about certification and can I use this in the Department of Defense. So it's a cultural area that we struggle with making sure we satisfy the letter of the law as well as getting folks to understand the spirit of the open source community.
Right, I would say that the Forge.mil community is definitely still evolving. But one of the things that they really want to try to push forward is the fact that there is a lot of expertise and a lot of knowledge within communities of interest. And the Department of Defense is very good with communities of interest, right? We've got different branches and we understand how to break people up and group people together, right? But a lot of times it's the communication between those groups that needs a little fostering.
I'm like most folks in the open source community. I'd rather have it done, step A to step B. And Aaron has had to make sure that I sort of understand that in the Department of Defense, it's a little more involved, right? You have to take a lot more steps between A and B to get there, and I think that we're trying to do that by having the capability and then working around the culture. But the culture is a key critical thing that I want to make sure we don't miss in all of this, because the tools are just that. They provide a means to an end.
When they understand the idea, when they understand the concepts, when they understand the real mission, then they are much more willing to take a risk, right? And it's when they really understand the value that this risk offers, right? That risk-reward ratio really starts to look a lot more reasonable to them.